Welcome to another deep dive. We're diving into some familiar phrases that you hear all the time but might not know the origins of.
It's really amazing where these sayings come from.
Yeah, and we'll get to experience those aha moments
Like a
together.
little history lesson wrapped up in a saying.
Exactly. And today, we've got 4 listener-submitted phrases to investigate. Off the beaten path, chock-a-block, in the loop, and snap up.
Ooh, those are good ones.
I know, right? So to kick things off, let's talk about off the beaten path. It makes me think about travel, like getting away from the crowds.
Yeah, it totally does. It really captures that feeling of exploring something new and unique, right?
It does. But where did it come from? Like, did people in the 1600s use that?
Well, it actually popped up a bit later, around the 19th century, and back then it was quite literal. Like, imagine a physical path. The more people walked on it, the more beaten it became. So going off the beaten path meant literally stepping off that well-worn track and finding a less traveled route.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. It's amazing how it's evolved from describing an actual path to like a philosophy of seeking out unique experiences.
Totally. I think our listener's example really captures that evolution. They wrote, while visiting Paris, we decided to venture off the beaten path and stumbled upon a charming little bookshop far from the tourist crowds.
Perfect example. It's not just about a different street, it's about finding those hidden gems that most tourists might miss.
Yeah, like that feeling when you discover a hole-in-the-wall restaurant that only locals know about.
Exactly. Those are the moments that make a trip memorable.
Have you had any off-the-beaten-path experiences, like where you kind of veered from the familiar and discovered something truly awesome?
Hmm. Let me think. Oh, I remember this one time when I was traveling in Italy. Instead of taking the train between cities like everyone else, I rented a bike and followed these back roads through the countryside.
So cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. I got to experience the Italian countryside in a completely different way. Like, I stumbled upon these tiny villages and met local people I never would have encountered otherwise.
Okay, now I'm inspired. So, to sum up off the beaten path, it's not just about physical journeys, but also a mindset.
It's like being open to new experiences and embracing the unexpected. It's about finding those hidden gems that make life more interesting.
Okay, now switching gears, let's move on to chock-a-block. This one always makes me think of, like, crowded London streets or bustling
Oh,
marketplace.
yeah, it's a classic British phrase, isn't it? But are you ready for this? Its origin is actually nautical.
Wait, nautical like boats?
Yes, like from the 19th century. Picture this. On a ship, a chock is a wedge used to secure things, and a block is part of a pulley system.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
So when the lines were pulled tight and the blocks were jammed close together, the system was considered chock-a-block, like super tightly packed.
Wow, I never would have guessed that. So basically, it's as packed as those blocks on a ship. Our listener's example said, the city center was chock-a-block with shoppers during the holiday season.
Oh yeah, I can picture that. Like you can barely move through the crowds.
Totally. Like a sea of people all crammed together.
Which I guess makes sense considering its nautical roots. But how cool is it that this phrase that started on ships ended up describing crowded streets and shops?
It's pretty amazing, right? Like how language evolves and travels through time and across different contexts.
It's like a linguistic voyage.
I love that. Okay, let's move on to in the loop. This one feels very relevant in today's world, where we're all constantly connected and bombarded with information.
It's so important to be in the loop, right? Like to stay informed and be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. But what does it actually mean? Like, where did this idea of being in a loop come from?
Well, it relates to communication networks, like the idea of information flowing in a circular pattern. If you're in the loop, you're part of that flow, you're receiving the updates and being included in the decision-making process.
Our listener's example was, make sure to keep Sarah in the loop about the project's progress so she can assist if needed.
Yeah, being in the lag helps things run smoothly, right?
Right. No one wants to be the person who's left out and has to play catch up.
It's almost like being part of a secret club, like you're in the know. But in a good way, it's about being included and feeling like you're part of the team. And that feeling of belonging is really important, whether it's at work, with friends, or even within a family.
Yeah, it's like that moment when everyone's sharing an inside joke and you're totally lost because you weren't there when it happened.
Exactly. It's like you missed a key piece of the puzzle. So being in the loop is about staying connected and feeling like you're part of the shared experience.
Okay, on to our final phrase for this deep dive, snap up. I think this one speaks to our inner bargain hunter.
Uh-huh, it totally does. Like when you see a great deal and you just have to grab it before it's gone.
Yes. Or think about those limited edition sneakers that sell out in minutes.
Oh yeah, the hype is real. People are literally snapping them up the second they become available.
But why snap? Where does that come from?
Well, the best way to visualize snap up is to think of a trap, like how it snaps shut quickly and decisively. Snap up is kind of like that, a swift, decisive action to acquire something before it disappears.
Ooh, that's a great analogy. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Our listener's example really captures that sense of urgency. The concert tickets were snapped up within minutes of going on sale.
It's like a feeding frenzy, everyone trying to get their hands on the same thing at the same time.
Have you ever experienced that? Like that feeling of, I gotta get this before it's gone?
Totally, especially with concert tickets. I remember this one time I was trying to get tickets to see my favorite band,
Oh.
and it was like a war zone online. I kept refreshing the page, my heart was racing,
I feel you. I've been there. The pressure is on.
and finally I got through and I managed to snap up 2 tickets before they sold out. It was such a rush.
I bet. It's such a satisfying feeling.
It's such a satisfying feeling, right?
Totally. Like you conquered the digital shopping cart and emerged victorious.
I love it. Okay, so we've covered some fascinating ground here. From hidden paths to bustling marketplaces to information loops and digital shopping frenzies, we've explored some pretty interesting territory today.
And it's amazing how much history and culture is packed into these seemingly simple phrases. It's like each one tells a little story about who we are and how we interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. Language is a living, breathing thing, constantly evolving and adapting to reflect our experiences. And that's what makes it so fascinating to explore.
So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into these phrases and uncover even more linguistic gems. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're picking up right where we left off, exploring the hidden depths of these everyday phrases.
And I think off the beaten path is a great place to start.
Okay, yeah. We talked about its literal origins, those less traveled paths.
But it's so much more than just that.
It's like, yeah, a metaphor for life.
Exactly. It's about being open to new experiences, trying things that maybe others haven't.
Like choosing a career that isn't like the typical 9-to-5 office job.
Exactly. Or maybe picking up a hobby that's a bit unusual.
Like underwater basket weaving.
Sure, why not? If it's something you're passionate about.
I like that. It's about breaking free from expectations, defining your own path.
And who knows, maybe when you venture off the beaten path, you'll discover something truly amazing about yourself.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. Let's move on to chock-a-block. We uncovered its nautical roots.
Those tightly packed blocks on a ship.
Yeah, but it's interesting how it's become such a common way to describe like any kind of crowded situation.
It's so descriptive, too.
Like you instantly get that feeling of being surrounded by people or things.
Like when you're trying to squeeze onto a packed bus during rush hour.
Ugh, don't remind me. Or when you're at a concert and everyone's pushing to get closer to the stage.
It's almost like you can feel the energy of the crowd, the excitement in the air.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a physical space.
Yeah.
Like you could say someone's schedule is chock-a-block.
Oh, yeah, totally. Or that their mind is chock-a-block with ideas.
It's like full to the brim, no room for anything else.
Exactly. It really paints a vivid picture.
Speaking of vivid pictures, let's talk about in the loop. We talk about how crucial it is at work.
To be informed, to be part of the decision-making process.
But it goes beyond just work, right?
It's essential in our personal lives, too.
Like feeling connected to your friends and family, knowing what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, those little details that make you feel like you belong.
Remember our listener's example. Make sure to keep Sarah in the loop about the project's progress so she can assist if needed.
It highlights the importance of inclusion.
No one wants to feel left out.
Like they're missing out on something important.
So being in the loop is about more than just information.
It's about connection, about feeling like you're part of something.
See, last but not least, snap up. We talked about that feeling of urgency, of grabbing something before it's gone.
Like those concert tickets that disappear in seconds.
But it's not just about buying things.
It can apply to opportunities, too.
Like if a friend tells you about a job opening that sounds perfect for you.
You could say you gotta snap up that chance.
Yeah. Don't let it slip away.
Be decisive, be quick, and grab hold of that opportunity.
So snap up isn't just about material things.
It's about recognizing those moments in life that are worth seizing.
Okay, I think we've covered some amazing ground here.
From hidden paths to crowded marketplaces to information loops and fleeting opportunities, we've explored a lot.
And it's amazing how much these phrases reveal about how we think and how we experience the world.
It's like a little window into the human psyche.
I love that. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've explored the origins and meanings of these four phrases, but now I want to know, like, how can we actually use them?
Oh, I love